To lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast. Prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello, and welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's number one lycanthrope, Jack Russell, a.k.a. the Werewolf, a.k.a. the Beast, a.k.a. the Shaggy One, a.k.a. Russell Jackson. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
I'm your other host, Jacob Balcom.
Thanks for joining us this week, listeners. It's just you and me, Jacob.
I know, we've had a lot of guests, and we're going to have a lot more guests in a row, starting with Mr. Brad Elmore next week. But I'm excited. But yeah, well, we have just a few episodes this season where it's just you and me flying solo. And this is a good one because the story we're going to talk about is like 5 pages long.
This is for completists only.
Yep.
That's me.
That is you.
And folks, we have a voicemail number. That's 971-220-5865. 971-220-JUNK.
Oh there, gentlemen. Jared Savitas here. I gotta be honest with you. Back when you were finishing the first season, you guys were not sure what you were gonna do next. And I actually got pretty bummed out. I was really enjoying your reviews of Werewolf by Night, and honestly, I could not believe that you were not going to finish reviewing and reading and sharing your thoughts on the remainder of the comics that were in the 3rd volume of the complete Werewolf by Night collection. So I kind of sadly, poutingly read through them all because I was like, well, moving on to something else to read then. And this Spider-Woman number 19, rereading it before listening to your most recent episode covering it, I had kind of forgotten that whole first chunk of that story. And rereading it this time around, it really struck me. I was like, this is great. It's not at all what I expected from a Spider-Woman book. I do have the first 2 volumes of the Marvel Masterworks, but I have yet to read them, ashamedly. But yeah, it was really great to read it this time around. And that deadfall she does when fighting the Enforcer in the second half of the book, man, what a cool little scene, right? Anyways, I'm super excited that you are going full Jack and doing the rest of these stories, and even jumping into the 80s a little bit. That thrills me to no end. Thanks again, guys, for the show. Looking forward to where you guys take it and all the different supernatural and horror and strange and wacky that you guys got coming up. Talk to you soon, yeah?
Thanks for calling, Jared. I appreciate that. I'm assuming that in hindsight, he has now heard me gushing about how much I love Spider-Woman, especially the Grunwald run, and he's going to fix that issue, that problem, and read those issues from the Masterworks.
Yep. I bet he will. I bet he will crack the cellophane on those now, because we were pretty effusive about you read all the Spider-Woman issues. I think I read about half of them, but yeah, both of us really loved it.
Yeah, and we're glad to be back. I did not realize until he called that some of the post Werewolf by Night stuff was in the Epic collection, the 3rd Epic collection. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, at least Marvel Team Up, I think the Ghost Rider is, a couple Spider-Woman, not all of them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I have the 3rd Epic collection, or the 3rd collected digitally, and yeah, so some of those issues are in there, but not all of the ones that we're going to run through. Since we're diving pretty deep this season.
We're deep, guys.
We are getting into some obscure comics. So yeah, this one especially, Marvel Premiere 59.
Yes, this one is pretty obscure. It's not available on Marvel Unlimited, unfortunately, and it is also just a 5-page backup. So Jacob and I spoke this week and decided, hey, the initial plan was let's do an audio drama like we did with the Monsters Unleashed story that Conway wrote. And I just had kind of a busy week, work and personally. So I said, let's just kind of make a vidcast and let's just include the comic in there as we go through it, because it's 5 pages. So I think that's a good call, a good middle ground.
Yep.
And plus, people can't find it easily. It's not in any collection, and it's not available digitally legitimately. So we're kind of doing God's work.
Every day.
Crom's work.
Crom's
work. We recently were lamenting the fact that our season 1 drinking rules didn't really apply at all to post cancellation Jack. And we said, hey, if you guys have ideas, send us your ideas for drinking games. And we got some through our Patreon page. Thanks to Jackson T. Overstreet, one of our Star God members. Here's when you take a drink, Jacob. You ready?
I'm ready.
Every time Jack fights the star of the book.
Okay.
2, when someone wants to use Jack as a weapon.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Brace yourself. When Jack's guest appearance is a glorified cameo.
Well, that's going to be every single episode.
When Jack is chained up or caged.
Okay.
When
Even
Jack busts... Oh, sorry.
Even if he cages himself.
That's interesting.
Because remember, we don't have so many chances to drink because Jack is responsible now. Like in the beginning of the story, he talks about that he chains himself up now. So
for our liver's sake, let's say it is when he is involuntarily chained up or caged.
Oh, okay. I mean, I stopped worrying about our livers at the end of season 1. So
I'm on my 3rd one.
Yeah, I'm fine.
When Jack busts out of prison or some kind of imprisonment, have a drink.
Okay.
When Jack loses control and it is not a full moon.
All right, that happens kind of every issue as well. So this is good. I missed our scheduled drinking.
Yeah.
I like structure. You like structure. So these are good rules.
Yeah. So those are on our Patreon page. I think they were included in the comments for our unedited episode, Spider-Woman 32 with Michelle. So if anybody wants to find the hard copy of those or print those out and put them in your wallet laminated or get a new tattoo, that's where they are.
There you go.
All right. So as I mentioned, this was Marvel, or Jacob mentioned, this is Marvel Premiere 59. And the last time we were in Marvel Premiere was issue 46, the end of the Star God saga. This one is cover dated April 1981. The last time we saw Jack was cover dated November 1980, last issue, and 32 of Spider-Woman. The cover of this one, I know we're not really talking about the cover much because it doesn't have much to do with them, but if you looked, it's by Gene Day. He did the pencils and inks, and it's got Doctor Who on it. And the main story is a Doctor Who story. So Marvel Premiere, as you guys know probably, it was a bi-monthly tryout book, which had kind of rotating stuff. When the characters stuck or people wrote in, they would stick around for a while. Sometimes they get their own book. But Doctor Who took over as of December 1980. And these were all reprints of from Doctor Who Weekly, which was a Marvel UK series from the year before. And the penciler was Dave Gibbons, who I'm sure you folks know from Watchmen. So that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. However, it ended with at 63. So he didn't stick around long. So the run from when we last saw him in Man-Wolf in 46, Ant-Man had like 2 or 3 issues. Falcon was in one. Alice Cooper was in one. There were 3 Black Panther issues. They tried to make their own Jonah Hex called Caleb Hammer, which I want to read. Have you read it?
Yeah, I actually think I have read that one.
Okay. There was a Wonder Man issue, Dominic Fortune. I'd forgotten all about him. And then Doctor Who took over. So yeah, the cover here is Doctor Who. I'm not going to belabor the point much. Do I just piss off some of our nerd fan base? I hate Doctor Who. I've always hated Doctor Who. For me, I might as well have a fistful of Ambien. Like, I've tried to make it through a Doctor Who when I was a kid, like on PBS. Like, this has aliens and stuff, and I'm sure I'll love this. And then I was just like 3 minutes in.
Yeah, I know. I respect it. I have lots of people that I respect that really love it. It's not something that me or Alicia or my wife have ever been super into. We don't hate it. You know, my wife's younger brother loves it. And I've watched a bunch of the newer Doctor Who with him and had a great time, but I've never had a real connection to it.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to say my doctor because I don't have one, but it's definitely Tom Baker, the one that I think of when I think of the character, right? I kind of like the guy that came before him, Pertwee, John Pertwee. Okay, well, he was in a Amicus portmanteau anthology horror film where he played an actor that played vampires, like Vincent Price or something like that. And when he takes this cape and it's cursed, and he actually becomes a vampire. That was kind of a funny little story. Okay. That's all I know about Doctor Who. That's the extent. I did around the turn of the century or whatever, early aughts. I did see, I think, David Tennant's tenure, like 1 or 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. We had friends that were really into it, and I was like, well, at least they got some better special effects.
Yeah, for sure. I know it's weird. I also feel kind of a little embarrassed that I don't know more about Doctor Who, that I've never had a real connection to it. Mm-hmm. I think I have more of a connection to Inspector Spacetime from Community than I do Doctor Who.
Okay. So, yeah. I like to imagine some of it's just like a British thing, but there's a bazillion American fans, so that's not it.
Yeah, and also you love everything British.
I'm kind of an Anglophile. I have been since
you're
I was
an
a kid.
Absolute Anglophile. So I don't know. It's something else.
Yeah.
We've just offended half of our fan base.
So yeah, I'm sorry. Next week we'll be talking about wrestling for anybody who's left. Insultingly. Sorry, did I make that clear?
Well, that's the other half of our audience. So thanks a lot. Now we have 0 listeners.
No, being an adult, I mean, we haven't explicitly talked about this on the show. We've talked a lot about that. There's a lot of negativity out there in the geek community, and we're both me in particular, can be critical people of things. But that we try and bring the positivity to the show, and it's a bastion and an oasis of just love, right?
That's right.
So yeah, I try and keep it there. But part of me growing up and taking that position was switching the way I think about something of that movie sucks to that, man, that did nothing for me. I didn't dig it, man. Just that it's just a linguistic change that kind of changes your whole attitude towards something where it's like the work objectively does not stink.
No, not at all.
I did not respond to it, to what, I wasn't digging what the artist put out there. That's all that is, different strokes for different folks. And just kind of making a commitment to think that way about things, for me, really changed my attitude towards a lot of stuff.
For sure.
I'm still going to say Liefeld blows. That's never going to change.
Well, I mean, that's the stance of the show. We're not going to waver on that 1 inch.
Yeah. And I hope Ethan Van Sciver chokes on a bunch of hobo balls, but I don't care,
Yep.
If you like 90s cyber frogs, do it.
Do it, man. Yeah.
Okay, so Doctor Who. I was trying to figure out how this backup story, this season so far is so odd to me. I keep trying to figure out who the champion is of Jack. Like, who is the person saying, "Hey, you got 5 pages at the end of that Doctor Who thing, right? You know what you need to do? Get Stephen Grant to write a Jack thing." Like, that's weird.
I honestly think at this point for this story, I think Stephen Grant is Jack's champion. Okay. Because he's written Jack, or at least has done some writing with Mark Grunwald about Jack. And I mean, we are in the desert. Like, we are in a Werewolf by Night desert at this point, where the character has just been forgotten and is just starting to show up here and there in a very patchwork and strange way. Yeah, I feel like we are in the wilderness, my friend.
Yeah. We're entering a fallow period, right? I mean, his book ended in like 78, 79. Mm-hmm. He just kind of had dribblings of appearances here and there, thanks to, Wolfman writing Spider-Woman and injecting him in her world, Jess's world. So yeah, we're now at the point now where Wolfman doesn't care. Grunwald's not writing anymore. And I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird place to be. That being said, we're going to be talking about a story called Full Moon on the Highway. And this answers my question, at least I believe, from issue 42 of Werewolf by Night, that what the hell happened to Lyssa after Buck's house was invaded by that strange character, who he later found out was his former employer, who came to ask for help, said, I helped you out. Now you got to help me. And then he burst into flames.
Yes. Then he spontaneously combusts because he was shot with a tingler from the enforcer.
Damn.
So, yeah, no, I was really excited to see Lissa as well. So, yeah, this was I liked this 5-page story. I'm excited to go through it with you.
I am too. And we'll talk about well, why don't you do the credits before we dig in, because the credits are at the bottom, and we're going to go kind of panel by panel since this is 5 pages.
Yeah, I think we should. So, the credits. So, like you said, the story is called Full Moon on the Highway. Like you said, Stephen Grant is script. Win Mortimer is art. Gene Simek is letterer. Glynis Wein colorist. Denny O'Neil is the editor, and Jim Shooter is editor in chief. So. The only name we really haven't seen yet is Win Mortimer. So Win Mortimer kind of got his start in the Golden Age. He's been drawing comics since like 1945, I think. His first credited story is called Batman Goes Broke from Detective Comics 105. And he did his best work at DC, like drawing mostly during the 50s and a little bit into the 60s. He drew a ton of Superman. He drew a ton of Batman stories and covers and did cool shit. Mm-hmm. He drew the Superman comic strip for years. In the 60s, he worked on the Legion of Superheroes and Supergirl. And my favorite stuff of his from the 60s is his DC romance. He did a ton of DC romance. And all of his shit is really, really cool. He started to branch out kind of in the later 60s doing work for Western Publishing on books like Boris Karloff, Tales of Mystery, Dr. Solar. And then by the time the 70s roll around, he moves over to Marvel to work at first on really cool books. Like he did all of the art for the 4 issues of Night Nurse, which I love. Right. He did the entire thing, and it's great. Like, it looks great. He draws women amazingly.
God, his women are gorgeous.
They're gorgeous. And he worked on Tales of the Zombie. He worked on Dracula Lives. Like, did really, really cool shit. But I had to go back and kind of find that stuff because you and I are most familiar with his work drawing every single issue of Spidey Super Stories. Every single one. Which, Matt, like 50, you and I... Yeah, it's a lot, and we have expressed our displeasure at the book. In all fairness, though, honestly, like it's aimed at 5-year-olds, and I read it when I was probably 4 years old and loved it. I honestly think I have a picture of me as a baby, like I'm in a cardboard box. So I'm probably like,
that's how they found you.
That's how they found me. And I think I'm reading an issue, and I have a issue of Spider-Man comics, and I'm kind of pointing it towards the camera because I'm always because I was recommending comics from the very beginning, and I'm pretty sure it's an issue of Spidey Super Stories. So in all fairness, it totally sucks, but it's for very small children and did the job of converting us into true Spider-Man fans. So, but yeah, that's how I think you and I probably first discovered his art.
Right. And so that was, in case you folks have never actually seen it, that was an extension of the Electric Company's appearance of Spider-Man. So that was his first live action appearance, and the first live action appearance of a Marvel character between, like, the first time you ever saw Marvel on screen was Captain America serials. That's right. Dick Purcell, I think was the name of the guy that played him. This is the first time a live action person had played him since then. It had only been animated properties in the 60s to that point. So he appeared on there. And of course, that's an educational show. It's aimed at very young children. So if there were any villains on there, which I don't remember, they were just goofy, kind of playful things. They weren't scary. I don't think many characters from continuity showed up in there, but all the scripts had to be reviewed by Marvel with an eye towards making PBS OPB happy, or PBS happy. And Electric Company also got to review each script and make changes or request changes. So these things were just mutilated and completely pared down to the most pap, bland. That's
right.
And when Mortimer drew all those.
Yep. Everyone.
Yeah, when I was looking at this first page here and you were talking, when you said Boris Karloff's Tales of Mystery, that's where I know Win Mortimer from.
Yeah,
I had
sure.
both of those, 2 volumes of that, and the archives. And that's definitely where I went from. And man, like I said earlier, his women are beautiful.
Yeah, his women are beautiful. His Night Nurse run is my favorite. I know Night Nurse is weird and problematic and strange and didn't know what it was trying to do, who it was trying to cater to. I love it. I love it because it is the best example of 70s messiness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if there's 4 issues, every one of them is a different genre. It's like they're trying a different genre every issue.
Right.
And the 4th one is suddenly it becomes like,
one.
yeah, dark forbidden tales of mystery, you know, and it's fucking awesome. Yeah. So anyone, I really recommend reading Night Nurse. It's not high art, but it's pretty fucking grow.
Did they ever collect, that push to have female leads? The Shanna, what is it?
Shanna the She-Devil. You got
and,
the cat,
Hellcat. Whatever. Yeah, the cat. Did they ever collect those in one thing as like kind of a thematic?
I don't know.
Because I would have bought that.
I would have bought that too, but I don't, Marvel doesn't seem to be so proud of those, which I don't understand why. I mean, I know they were an experiment that was kind of pandering and dumb, that was done by like middle-aged white guys.
Yeah.
And I get it, even though I'm pretty sure a woman wrote all of the Night Nurse issues, if I'm correct. But
who?
I can't remember. It's not Roy's wife
It's
at
not
the
Jean.
time. It's not Jean, but it might be. God damn it, I can't
Jeannie,
remember.
Whatever.
Yeah, but no, you're right. I would buy that collection in a heartbeat because it's a product of its time, and it's goofy, and you can kind of laugh at it, just like you can kind of laugh at the Diana Prince run of Wonder Woman from the 60s, where she opened a boutique and imported hot pants and was taught karate. So, but it's so goofy and stupid that you're reading it because it's goofy and stupid. Denny O'Neil never lived that down, by the way. I don't think he ever lived that one down.
Well, I mean, if they had if they had thought it through and said, why don't we hire some young women to write these books and really trumpet this and some fanfare around it, that probably might have taken off.
Yes. Yep.
But we got, Stan Lee women or whatever.
That's right.
So cool. Well, thanks for the Wen Mortimer dig in. That his name to me sounds like a pseudonym, like Raoul Duke or something.
I know,
like
right?
it's
Raoul Duke.
Like, I'm here I have a reservation for a room. Oh, what's the name? Wen Mortimer. Yeah, I need some ID.
That's going to be my pseudonym now when I travel.
I can only assume that's Winslow.
I think it's Winslow. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Well, this is a shorty, but a goodie. Let's dig in.
Yeah, so we're going to do it. It's 5 pages. We're going to do this panel by panel.
For real.
And it opens up on a crowded freeway. The opening narration is, in 10 minutes, Moonrise would trigger the Russell family curse, changing me into a savage werewolf. With my sister, Lisa...
Yeah, what?
I sped down the Ventura Freeway toward home. We had plenty of time. And I don't know, I think, Wynn has a pretty heavy line in a lot of these, inking wise, but I kind of like the art on almost every panel, except when we get to the Beast. I'm going to have some issues, as I'm sure you are too. Yeah. But I kind of dig this. I dig his perspectives. I dig his line. I like these cars. Cars. I was just like, I fucking like those. Those are great.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I have to drink for this because look at that moon. It is a big fat red tick on a dog's ass. It's touching the horizon. And Jack's like, I got 10 minutes to get home. No, you fucking don't.
No, you don't.
Even if there's no cars on the road, even if it's fucking Omega Man, you're not making it home in time. So drinking.
This is California, you dumb son of a bitch.
Okay. I like that art as well. I love the coloring by Glynis. Yeah,
Glynis Wein does great. The coloring's awesome in this.
So yeah, that Lisa thing, that kind of bugged me.
I know.
So the next page, the next panel, we get to see inside the car, and in the foreground there's Lisa, and she says, "I hate it, Jack, chaining you up like an animal on these nights. I just hate it. And he's just like, we're about to start punching the steering wheel like Nick Cage. He's like, better than letting me rampage mindlessly through LA, isn't it? It's something I've learned to live with, Lisa.
Lisa. He doesn't even know his own sister's name. Yeah, but you're right. His expression in that is fucking awesome. And then his expression in the third panel is great. Like he's angry in the second panel, but in the third panel, he's freaking out. He's breaking into a sweat. Like beads are forming on his face. He's like, "We'll be at my place in a couple of minutes, so cool it." And then he's like, "What's that ahead? Or something's happening up ahead. It looks like, oh no, it can't be. Not now, not now."
So he's this angry, road raging out before he realizes there's a problem. Because gotta get home. It's like he has diarrhea. This was planned diarrhea. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, he's still, this is good. This is kind of reverting back to the Jack that we know and love, is that he tries to be responsible. But if you and I knew we were going to turn into a werewolf, I would definitely give myself 4 hours to drive home. I get to the airport 3 hours early and it's not an international flight. Like, that's just me.
I love that I'm the same way when it comes to flying.
Yeah.
I don't fuck around.
No.
Because they have alcohol there. So
yeah, fuck it.
And I love, so this third panel, I love the perspective here where we're like on the dashboard looking through the steering wheel. That's so cool. And Lissa looks great in the background. Again, beautiful.
Yeah, Lissa looks awesome. I love that
he's like, "We'll be at my place in a couple of minutes, so cool it." So he's like, "Don't denigrate the plan. The plan's good." But as he's sweating bullets. Oh, it's so funny. So we get this huge panel that's half the page on the bottom, and it says, ahead, a truck had jackknifed across the highway, slowing traffic to a crawl. The police were already on the scene, and in time, they would get things back to normal. But suddenly, my time was all used up. So sure enough, we see a semi jackknifed on the road.
Yep.
Some police are there starting to wave cars around. It's down to one lane of traffic. And there's the guy that's driving the truck that's flipped over going, "Breaker, breaker, this is Animal House calling zookeeper. Do you read me?"
I was so jealous you got to say that. Oh, man.
So, yes, this plan is well and truly fucked. All it took was one bit of traffic to ruin his perfect plan. Othello chess move here.
Yeah. No, he's fucked. Basically. So, at the top of the next page, the first panel, we hear the guy that the trucker named Weber is talking to. He says, "Stow that trucker noise, Weber. What's the situation? We need those animals for experiments."
For experimenting.
For experimenting. Need to put lipstick on them. So it's like, had a crack up with a drunk driver. All your critters are okay, except 5 wolves got out of their cages. And
oh my God.
Yeah, I know. I love this truck driver so much.
Yeah. Zookeeper and Animal House. Those are their handles.
Yeah, those are their handles.
I mean, I know that he's transporting animals.
Yes.
You couldn't have a little bit of, I don't know, whatever. I tried to think of some, and I was like, they must have all been taken, all the good handles.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, it says, like you said, the 5 wolves got out, and the guy on the other end is like, "Wolves? Good grief. Those animals have rabies, a new strain. Where are they now?" I don't know, in the hills someplace.
The next panel, he says, "Get them, kill them if you have to, but stop them. They could start an epidemic." I was like, all right. I mean, I guess. But, and he says, yes, sir. Rabies, he thinks. And yeah, he's got a CB in his hand, and he sees one of the wolves just kind of, lumbering over the horizon. So he knows he's totally fucked.
Yeah, he's fucked.
Yeah.
A new strain of rabies. My note just said Wuhan much.
Yeah.
Like, did they make it on purpose? Is this a bioweapon, or is it just like we accidentally found a mutated strain of rabies and we want to study it? There's a bunch of other animals, so do they all have weird new diseases?
Yeah, maybe that's this crop of animals all had like terribly engineered diseases. So,
and they're being driven by a guy who saw the ad on late night TV while he was eating Cheetos in his underwear and socks.
Be a trucker in 2 weeks. Yeah.
I feel good about this now.
Yeah, yep.
And how exactly could rabies become an epidemic?
Well, that was the thing that I was most concerned about, but that's okay. Let's just say this is super rabies,
Yeah, okay.
and that the world is in danger.
Okay. We talked about this last time. We need to figure out when Cujo came out. I feel like this is playing way more of a hand than it should in pop culture.
Yeah.
We cut to Jack's narration saying, I couldn't hear what the trucker was saying. I only sensed the seconds ticking agonizingly away until, and then Lissa says, Jack, your hand, you're changing. Get out of here. Run. Got to run. And he looks really cool as he's kind of buckling over in pain. Unfortunately, his hand just has some brown watercolor on it. Like they couldn't even put a few strokes of like fur just to indicate hair.
No, and it definitely looks more like watercolor than any. It's like gouache.
Yeah,
like it is. I was like, all right, it's a little cheap of an effect for the transformation.
Yeah.
But the next panel is kind of cool. We get Jack in silhouette. Narration says the sun disappeared below the horizon as I lunged from the car onto the Ventura freeway. And one of the drivers says, hey, get back in your car. Move that piece of junk.
This panel, I actually dig quite a bit. I love in the foreground, Jack is bolting out of his car and he's a silhouette with just highlights from the dying sun on his hair and shoulders. And the guy in the background's yelling at him. And I love that as the moon is as the sun is setting on the horizon in the background, it looks like an iron-on you get on a t-shirt in 1982.
Right.
It just says like Malibu on it or something like that.
Yep.
And this next panel is pretty cool. It's this explosion of light. Jack's in the foreground kind of cowering, and he says, I told Lissa, and it's spelled correctly, by the way, now. I told Lissa I've learned to live with my curse. I lied. And that guy that was yelling at him starts honking. And so this starburst, like explosion is emotional or something, or sound waves. And he goes, honk, out of the road, you, as Jack's rapidly changing. Kind of an awkward panel, but funny.
It is funny. But then in the next panel, and he continues the narration saying, I'll never learn to live with this. And then we see this was really cool. It was kind of like a classic horror panel in a way. And this is one of my favorite panels of the Werewolf. There's a lot of them that I do not like, but I do really dig this one. And at the bottom it says the werewolf stalked towards the car with murder in its eye. And so, we're behind the driver. The driver's all in blues and blacks. And there's this werewolf busting out of Jack's shirt in front of him. And I really dug that panel. It reminded me like something that would be in an EC comic or in Menace. Yeah,
and he kind of has with the torn shirt and his kind of shoulders and everything and like no neckness. He almost looks like the curse of the werewolf. What's the hammer one? With Oliver Reed.
I think that is Curse of the Werewolf. Yeah, you're right. He does look a little more Oliver Reed in that panel.
Yeah. So in the next panel, the narration continues. Suddenly it bolted from the highway. So now we switched from Jack's narration to the third person omniscient, heading into the nearby forest. Or he does he refer to himself as it? This gets weird from here on out.
I know. I kind of read all of this, and there are discrepancies where you're like, who's the narrator? But I just went with that. It's just Jack, and it's Jack referring to his bestial self as an it and as an other.
Okay, like he's doing his Monday morning quarterbacking on the events.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, because all this is I mean that's that. I mean, I did like that. I did like that. This is classic Werewolf by Night. Like this is after the fact narration. Him just remembering and doing his commentary, and I found that actually quite comforting.
Me too. He says, I'd like to believe the werewolf became aware of the evil it was ready to do and chose not to. That's a way to interpret things. Or the honk made him angry. We also know he doesn't like bright lights. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this panel here is great as he's loping off. We see from behind, he's running into the shadows of the forest. And he's doing that little kid, like pinwheel run where you're just like swinging your arms like a Muppet. It looks like to me anyway, like he's going rar, rar, rar.
He is. Yeah, he absolutely is.
I don't know. That was kind of cool. I don't know. Yeah.
So on the next page, he continues. He said, I'd like to believe in the tooth fairy, too. This is an odd scent drew the werewolf into the woods. And this is one of the, actually quite a few panels, since it's interesting going panel by panel, which we normally don't do, but a lot of panels in this, the werewolf is in shadow, is in silhouette.
It's a great effect.
It is a great effect, and I actually think they're actually kind of more of my favorite panels, honestly, because I feel like Win Mortimer does a lot more with shadow than he does with actual detail on the werewolf, in my opinion. And he's a great he's a master of shadow.
Yeah, and these feel to me like some like Jerry Grandinetti or something like that, that's just bathed in blackness. Like some Warren or DC House of Mystery or something like that. So yeah, it totally works for me. I love that panel. So yeah, he's drawn into the woods by an odd scent, and we get an interesting kind of close up of the werewolf. It says the werewolf smelled something that was like itself, yet not like itself. And he's looking kind of at our direction, going grrr. And I don't know. My note just says there's a crude charm in Mortimer's designs. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, I kind of like it, but I definitely prefer it when he's in shadow.
No, I don't. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Like, yeah, I think a crude charm is a really good way of describing that, because I don't love any of his depictions of the werewolf. Yeah. But I like this one a little better because he doesn't have as much of that suckerfish mouth that he does on quite a few of these. And I know you and I are both not fans of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, third panel, the werewolf sensed through a smell a rival. And so he hears a scream, like a human scream, a woman's scream coming from off panel. And he's like, grrr, and is going to go and investigate.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of a cool, extreme close up of him growling. It's
all right.
I'd be kind of stoked if I bought a pack of monster cards and that was a sticker in that pack.
Oh yeah, I definitely use that sticker.
So we get this long horizontal panel in the middle here, and the screams and the scents were like road markers for the werewolf. Fear was in the air, now exciting it, and then it saw the wolf pack. In the background, we see the werewolf coming out of this copse of trees, and the 5 rabid wolves loping towards these 2 beautiful Hanna-Barbera girls in the foreground on the right, who are cowering and screaming. And the blonde says, "It's not possible. Wolves shouldn't be in Topanga Canyon, and they shouldn't attack people unless they're rabid." And the curly redhead says, "Oh no, here comes another one." She's looking in the background and seeing Jack coming towards them. Yeah. So I'm going to have a little teensy sip for the woman thinking the erect biped is another rabid wolf.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're right. I mean, this is an example of Win Mortimer drawing really amazing women. Like, I just like his depictions, and they definitely. I mean, I know what year is this? This is 1980.
Yeah, 80.
So yeah. I mean, Win Mortimer is not a young man at this point. So right. Most of his women look like they're from the 60s or 70s.
Sorry, 81.
Yeah, 81. So yeah, I mean, I think Win Mortimer is in his 60s at this point, and Stephen Grant is he's a young man.
Right.
So this is one of those great pairings that Marvel did on its kind of more ancillary books of putting this really cool veteran artist with a kind of up and coming writer. And most of the time that's really cool.
Yeah. But I see what you're saying though, like these girls, their outfits are definitely very 10 years old.
Definitely. Like, this is 1971.
Like yeah. Yeah. Like they look like, I mean, one's dressed like, they look like Daphne and Velma.
They do. But yeah, I mean, it's hard because not a lot of it is reprinted. I mean, you can find it in different collections, but Win Mortimer's romance comics from the 60s are just great. Like I really feel like that's his strength. Women are his strength. And I feel like, yeah, it's some of the best parts of this comic.
I'm going to check it out for sure.
So next panel, we have Jack the beast given a good roar, and I like that the werewolf is not the wolf, the rabid wolf is confused, kind of turning over and being like, "Er." And the narration says the werewolf's challenge was meant to cow the pack leader, letting the werewolf take over.
That the werewolf got very Perlin. Between panels,
Perlin ears, some serious Perlin ears going on there.
Huge, and just like that brushed back hair, that kind of like slicked back hair, pompadour. I don't know. I like it though.
I dig it.
So the leader of this pack of 5 turns on the werewolf and growls and leaps towards him. And it says it didn't have the desired effect. So yeah, Jack was hoping he could just kind of come up and say, "Well, I'm in charge now," and that didn't fly.
No, it didn't, and I think he's a little shocked by that. We see in the first panel of the next page, narration says, "Claws slashing, the werewolf drew first blood." So Jack kind of comes in swinging, and slashes at the lead werewolf. Or the lead wolf. And yeah, the werewolf face in this I kind of like. Again, like any time that I kind of like Mortimer's werewolf faces, they're crude but effective, I would say.
Yeah. He might draw this for me at a convention.
Yeah, and I would be totally satisfied.
In the frontispiece, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be over the moon, but I would be like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. They did cram quite a few panels into this 5-page story, by the way.
They really did.
Yeah. The next panel is pretty cool because we get Jack's leg extending out beyond over the gutter into another panel, which I always love that effect.
Yep.
So he's throwing the alpha male aside. It says the other wolves hung back, awaiting the fight's outcome. The werewolf sensed this.
Yeah, it's a really cool panel. I love the musculature. I love how Jack is moving his body, and I love how the wolves are drawn. Yeah, the next panel, it says the knowledge encouraged the werewolf. The knowledge made the werewolf careless. And so, yeah, we see Jack kind of lunging towards, but he's kind of going to get his ass handed to him.
Yep, and this is that thing I was telling you about before. Heads you lose, tails you lose. Like he's the Charlie Brown of werewolves. Like. Yep. Again, he's saying he used his wolf instincts, made this bluff, whatever, and now he's careless for having this wolf knowledge. Like, well, anyway.
Can't win.
This panel here is cool with the werewolf. Although I thought was not the clearest action because there's like a firecracker going off in the werewolf's mouth as he says "Arr!" and it says "Rit."
Weird.
And I think that's supposed to indicate that the alpha of the pack slashed at Jack and slashed him with his claws.
Yes.
Okay. In the face?
In the face, yes.
So that's what the firecracker is?
But you're right. I kind of had to look a couple times, which doesn't necessarily indicate the most clear storytelling.
Yeah, this could have been handled better because the stakes are pretty high. But I mean, if they're trying to say he did not bite him, so he is not infected with rabies, that would have been a little helpful to be clearer, I guess.
Yeah, but then we get the next panel, which is super badass. Like the narration says, pain maddened the werewolf, blinding it to the thick lather dripping from its enemy's fangs. And man, that lather is dripping from that wolf. So the wolf just looks insane. Yeah, and I love the werewolf. I love the werewolf expression in that. I love, but that dog in the foreground, or that wolf in the foreground is fucking amazing.
Yeah, and I like how it's so mad with the rabies that there's no pupils, just indicating it's just elemental
yellow
fury.
Yeah,
that's right. And it looks like a goddamn gargoyle or something. Like it's horrifying. It looks like a sculpture.
Yeah, it's really, really well done.
Question: in the background of that panel, are those bats or is that leaves? Is that night poking through overhead branches?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to the rest of the panels, it's branches, it's leaves.
Yeah, I don't know. That kind of confused me as well. But it's a cool wolf. So on the next page, it says pain blinded the werewolf to everything. The werewolf saw nothing as it plunged over the ridge, nothing but the throat of the pack leader. The werewolf was gripped by slaughterlust.
Slaughterlust. Oh, man. Haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, that was new to me. And my autocorrect didn't like it either.
Nope.
But he is pissed that he got slashed by this thing's claws, and he is just, dived into it, and they're just going head over, like a pair, just holding on to each other, rolling down the hill now. So that was a cool action. Yeah,
it's a great action. And we kind of see at the top of the next page, Narration says, as they landed, it was clear that the pack leader would do the slaughtering. The werewolf was pinned beneath it. The wolf's foaming jaws began to close. And yeah, we get this great panel of the wolf and the werewolf. Their faces are so close, and that rabid foam is just dripping on Jack. And he's just trying to keep this wolf away from tearing his throat out.
I did have a thought, though. At this point, I thought, wow, so in almost 10 years' time, Jack is basically back where he started. And the first time we saw him, where he's in that Malibu abandoned mansion on a cliff fighting a wolf and barely holding his own.
Yep. Yeah, so no progress has been made. He's back to 1.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess he's like the Edge in U2. He just plays that one goddamn chimey guitar thing with that one effect on the pedal.
Yep.
And do you want to take some lessons, Edge? Do you want to play some different stuff? No, mate.
Nope.
I'm good. This next panel's rad. Says, desperately, the werewolf lashed out. Its ferocity startled the wolf. There was a sound like eggshells breaking. And then we see the werewolf wrapping both of his arms around the wolf's neck, and the wolf was dead. The werewolf howled triumphantly. That's awesome.
It's a freaking cool panel. I mean, yeah, Jack
look at his arms, dude. Those are like tree trunks. He's so fucking buff, dude.
They're Hulk arms.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit. This next panel, the narration says, the triumph died as the werewolf turned. Men were there. The werewolf had lost its pack. And so, yeah, we see some cops / animal control have arrived and have netted the rest of the wolves.
Yeah, I like this layout here where he's in the foreground looking over his shoulder at them, and we like leading our eye to that action as well. And I love that his motivation was just like, I just want to take control of the pack. Like that was literally all he wanted to do.
Yeah, which I kind of liked. I did
that too. I mean,
that's the simplistic drive narrative of the whole story.
No, I mean, I'm not laughing, derisively. I'm like, this is so cool.
It's pretty cool.
And the next panel says, suddenly the werewolf too was netted as another cop has thrown a net over him saying, look out, this one's tearing loose. And the werewolf is indeed ripping through the net. Men had caged the werewolf before. It would not let them cage it again. I'm drinking because this guy is way too close on a full moon. There's a lot of light on a full moon. He should have seen that is not a fucking wolf.
No, drinking.
It's wearing green pants.
Green pants. That's the tip off every time, and people don't realize it.
Yeah.
So next panel is a cop saying, "Hey, get some more nets. That wolf is getting away." And we are back to the truck driver that we saw on the first page, and he says, "What do you mean? There were 5 wolves, and we got them all." The cop says, "Then what the heck was that?" And yeah, we see Jack just running off in the distance toward the full moon. And this is especially like this panel, like a lot of these panels, like Win Mortimer, like this is classic golden age art. This is like reading a fucking comic from 1947.
Yeah, totally.
Like, it's really cool.
And I love that Jack is in the background running off like the Venture Brothers. Like his torso is completely parallel to the ground. He's just like that little fucking Hanna-Barbera sound effect of like the high bongo drum.
Super Runaway.
Yeah. Super Runaway. And I'm also having a second drink for that because, as I said, it's the full moon, for Christ's sakes. They're emphasizing it in that panel.
Yeah.
I'm having some of Renee's Redbreast Irish Whiskey 15 year.
Oh, so you finally pulled the trigger. You're drinking the fancy stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I get the last panel.
Yeah, you do.
I get the final word for once.
Just this once.
I love this panel, man.
Me too.
So it's top and bottom is narration. The men went their way. It was not long before the werewolf 2 had forgotten the incident, that's great.
I know.
But he's on this little like hillock, little tiny hilltop. There's one pine tree coming up, the full moon in the background, and he's turning away from us, facing the moon, and but I would not forget the full moon cast the werewolf shadow across the night, and death walked in that shadow. That's a good ending.
It's a good ending. It's a serviceable story that actually I kind of liked better than some of the full issues that we've that we have and we're going to tackle. So I don't know. I liked the backup nature of this, that it could have been in Journey into Mystery, in Adventures into Terror, and in some of those Atlas era stuff. Like I liked it. I don't know. This was a total throwback that was so different than anything else that's happening in fucking Marvel in 1981. Like, I'm actually kind of surprised that Shooter was okay with this. I mean, maybe this is a level of book that Shooter's like, I have too many other people to boss around. Like, I can't worry about this right now. And so we get some Golden Age storytelling kind of squeezed into the Marvel narrative.
Yeah. If anyone else had written it, I would have thought it was an inventory story that Shooter was just cleaning out a drawer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they found a giant-sized werewolf backup that got lost, Yeah,
or they found a hidden room from the Atlas era. They're just like, oh shit, look at this.
Yeah. Interesting. So I really dug his art. I like the way he rendered Jack and Alyssa. I think they're beautiful. His women are beautiful. Some really cool layouts. I mean, the guy is just a workhorse.
Yeah.
It's too bad that his Marvel stuff is relegated to super stories for kids that are, filling their pants, because he's a super talented guy.
He's a super talented guy. He did really amazing work and was given really amazing assignments until about the mid-70s. And then he was just given kind of inconsequential stuff, which is too bad.
Yeah. Is this like the end of his career? How much longer did he work, do you think?
Not too much longer.
Is he done by the mid-80s pretty much?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Well, do we need to do final thoughts? I think we kind of just did that.
I think we just did. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
So who do we blame for the Lisa inconsistency within a story? Is that Denny O'Neil's job, or is that who's responsible for like that? Just like, hey man, you can't do that. That's inconsistent within this publishing.
I don't want to put it all on Jean Simek's shoulders, because she's done solid work. We've seen her work before, but this is something that if you're lettering this issue, you should definitely. I mean, I'm going to put some blame on Jean and then the rest on Denny, because Denny knows these fucking characters. Like he should know this.
Okay.
So yeah, that's I'm gonna equal blame that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to fire up my old laptop after this and write an angry email.
Good.
They can't be shielded. Not from us.
Not from us, no.
We have another voicemail with some thoughts from our friend Ray about the last issue we read, which was Spider-Woman number 32.
Hey guys, just read Spider-Woman 32, reread it. It's been a while, and so I wanted to leave my thoughts with you in regards to the appearance of Jack Russell. Look, across the board, the issue I thought was fun. It was really good. It was almost in two parts for me, with the first half really predominantly having an absence of Jack Russell. So I'm sure you guys probably would have been a little bit kind of disappointed with that aspect. The Hornet is an interesting character. Scotty McDowell, sidekick to Jessica Drew. This was under the Michael Fleischer run, where she's a bit more street level, and I think she's in San Francisco. I can't remember. But anyway, the appearance of Jack Russell here, kind of limited, and his use was relegated to, I guess, just being a pawn to Dr. Malice, who incidentally is a pretty cool villain. Like, I love to hate him, and he very much is loathed here, I think, from myself, because of how he treats both the Hornet and Jack Russell. But this issue had interesting things, like the Hornet going totally crazy off the edge. You don't see it that often, where they really go kind of for a spin. He kind of forgets where he is, loses focus, just stops fighting, starts singing to himself. Very kind of a bit weird, and all to do with the drugs. And Malice controlling Jack Russell with that kind of exo device that external device that he puts on Jack Russell. Fight scenes were great with Jessica Drew. In particular, I like the introduction of Jack, of the werewolf, jumping out at Jessica. I thought that was a great panel. And also, not long after that, there's a 9-panel grid, where it's largely wordless, just fighting on the movie set, which I really did enjoy. And we saw that on the title, on the front cover, the title page, just really harking back to the classic monsters. So, of course, why not have Werewolf by Night in it? But really fun issue. If anything, to be critical, I guess, trying to put the Werewolf by Night lens on, you guys may be a bit disappointed in the use of Jack Russell here, but I love the art, and the story, although it could get rather wordy at times, I just put that down to a sign of the times. So yeah, really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did too.
Very cool. Thanks, Ray, for sending your thoughts in there.
Yeah, see, listening to Ray, his sunny disposition, he's coming at it from a way that maybe you and I and Michelle didn't, where he's just accepting the fun of it and how goofy it was. And I think some of the goofy parts of it kind of annoyed us, whereas Ray just accepted it. And that's why he's probably a more happy and well-adjusted person than you and I are.
Well, he doesn't live in America.
Well, that's rough.
Yeah. I know I felt kind of conflicted about the last episode because we normally, like, I was just kind of in a grumpy mood, but I was looking forward to talking to you as I always do, and Michelle. And normally I get myself talked out of there during the intro to the show, and but I just felt like I never really got there, or maybe Michelle was enabling. I'm going to blame Michelle.
Let's blame Michelle. But on another note, I feel like we talked about at the beginning of this episode, we're in the wilderness. Mm-hmm. Like, no one is going to say any of the appearances of the episodes that we're going to go through in this season are Jack's best. No one would say that. Like, these are his worst. And so I feel like we might have to work a little harder to keep our spirits up, which might involve drinking more spirits and maybe upping our drug intake a little bit. Because I feel like, especially, some of these night shift issues coming up, mm-hmm. they're a little rough. And towards the end of this, when we reach Marvel Comics Presents, when we do that, this is going to be rough stuff. So you and I are going to have to figure something out. We're going to have to figure something to, keep our positivity up. Because like you said at the top of the show, that's our signature. Mm-hmm. We try to keep things positive, and we didn't last episode. And that was different. I'm actually glad we had Michelle. I feel like you and I just would have spun into some dark place if we didn't have Michelle there, who's also a genuinely sunny, happy, positive human being. And so I feel like she helped us not go to the deepest depths.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess I was just upset about the deep state and their fascist raids on noble leader. So, Rome's burning, but let's talk about fucking Spider-Woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call, Jacob.
Well, you got to stop looking out your window, my friend. You just have to bury your nose in a comic book and just pray that everything's going to be okay. Pray to Crom.
Yeah. I am making peace with the fact that, there's a Captain America issue here where it's got the night shift in it. So it's mostly a Cap issue, and it's got the night shift in it and the werewolves in it a little bit. Like, that's, it's all in the attitude, right?
It's all in the attitude, and it's all in our perspective. But I just feel like, I'm not saying this about you, I'm just talking personally. I feel like I'm going to have to bring it a little better. We're going to have to try to find different angles to keep this interesting and fun. Because if it's fun for you and me, then it's going to be fun for people to listen to. So
exactly,
we're going to have to work a little harder this time, because our source material is not great.
Well, it's very inconsistent. And
it's very inconsistent.
We are jumping in media res into the middle of bigger stories, and Yeah, like, I'm looking forward to talking about Captain America. I love that character. And, even though this is a Werewolf by Night show and he's not in that issue very much, I still like to talk about Cap. So that's going to be a good thing for me.
I'm pretty sure I owned that issue as a kid. So I'm very excited, even though
you're a big D-Man fan.
Yeah. Yes. But no, even though I'm pretty sure in that issue, I don't think Jack has one line.
Yeah. Well,
so that's we're gonna come at it from a totally different angle.
Either to Gary Cooper.
Yeah.
Strong silent type.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. See, already you're doing the work.
Don't know him. Don't vouch for him. Shep Proudfoot. Anyway, things are getting random around here.
Yes.
Yeah. So I hope that was okay with you guys, that we did a little kind of a video walkthrough. I mean, you can read the words. I don't know why you need to listen to us talk about it, but I think that it's going to be fun.
I think it's going to be fun too.
Yeah, please let us know what you think. I don't know, however you like, through Instagram or Twitter or our Patreon page, however you want to do that. That would be cool. I'd love some feedback on that. I'm not sure how much that comes up. Like the Marvel Presents storylines that we're doing are like 8 pagers, but we're just lumping all 3 issues into one episode. So it's essentially one issue.
Yeah.
There's not going to be too many little backup stories like that, but I'm always interested in trying new ways to approach that and make it fun for the people, especially when it's not readily available.
Yeah, and the Marvel Comics Presents stuff especially is not. Those issues are on Marvel Unlimited, but they have failed to put up the backup stories concerning Werewolf by Night. It's all Wolverine all the time.
So it's Joe Fixit and Wolverine and...
Yeah, Joe Fixit and Wolverine and fuck Werewolf by Night. So...
That stinks.
Yeah, I know. It's just one more thing to complain about Marvel Unlimited.
Because I think there was some, I think Brother Voodoo had a backup in there for a little bit. And
yeah, there's cool shit in there.
Yeah. It's interesting to see that art, though, that shift in the popular tastes. Yes. I mean, that's like putting it in reverse at 80 miles per hour on the freeway. Like it's a big shift for my taste. So it's so funny when you see something from like the mid 80s and it's some dude that's been around for 10, 15 years. You're like, it's like a warm bath. And then like all of a sudden some dude comes in and he's like, I just got out of fucking detention, motherfuckers. Here's how you fucking draw a Ghost Rider. Like, oh God, what's happening? Why is this happening?
Yep. We're going to come into a lot of that. Even though, I don't know. I think it actually could be worse. And looking at the end of our reading list, where we have the Marvel Comics Present stuff, we have some Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, which I've read those issues, and they're kind of cool. Like the art is really cool in those too, actually, for 80s, 90s art.
Yeah.
So I actually think it could be much worse.
It could, yeah. And I think I even stuck something in there that was what you pointed out to me a while back was like I erroneously had put some stuff in that was just references to the Darkhold and Jack, like in the Book of Vishanti. But I think I kept one of those in just for fun. I'm
glad. Yeah. Cause there's cool shit in those.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah. It's a really cool backup.
The Darkhold all the way back to, Arthurian times or, beyond like the caveman or where the hell it started. I can't remember when the book got Chthon and all that stuff is the one that, right, dictated all the spells or something. Yeah, we see the couple from the earliest appearances of Werewolf by Night that were turned into statues. What was their names? Blackgar.
Yeah, the Blackgar. Yeah, Blackgar Castle and all that. Yeah. So that's all kind of revisited in the Book of Vishanti stuff. Yeah, it's cool as shit.
Yeah, it's like This Is Your Life, but for the Darkhold and Jack Russell. Oh man, that's great. So. Yeah, if you want to give us feedback on what you thought of this one, like I mentioned, do that on your social media platform of choice or do it on our Patreon page, which is at patreon.com/Werewolf by Night podcast. That's exciting. We've been formalizing that live event we kind of mentioned. Do you want to talk again about that thing that's happening? Because we're going to be able to release that as an episode or a bonus or something.
I think, yeah. So we're finalizing that. Matt, you and I are I'm going to drive up to Portland from Southern Oregon, where I'm at now, and we're going to have an event We're going to do a live show, a live taping with 3 other Portland-based comic podcasts. That's going to happen at the Books with Pictures Street Fair. That is September 10th in Portland, in Southeast Portland. And yeah, we're going to be there with the Marvel by the Month guys, with Douglas Wolk from Voice of Latveria, with I think also with Miles from J.M. Miles Explained the X-Men. And yeah, Katie Pride's going to be there, owner of Books with Pictures, winner of the Retailer of the Year Eisner Award
Pretty
2
cool.
weeks ago. So Books with Pictures has officially been named the coolest comic shop in the world, which we already knew, but I'm very excited for Katie to get that that recognition. And so I think she's going to join us on the panel as well. So I'm really excited. We're going to all talk about, I think it's Marvel Comics Presents 100.
Yeah, I think we're all taking a section of that book.
Yeah, it's a section that has all of our general characters in there. So we're all going to take a crack at it and have a live event. So and that's going to be taped, and I think we're going to be releasing that as a bonus to our Patreon subscribers.
Yes, and I had like a wild moment of panic. Like, does what we do, is that going to translate at all to a live audience with other people? Like, I just completely was like had ice water in my veins like that. Ugh.
Nope, I did too, and I just had to just be like, no, we're just going to have to rely on charm alone, and I'm going to try and pack the crowd with plants of people that know and love us. Because I kind of had that. For me, I had the ice water in my veins as well, and I just imagined like everyone being introduced and everyone getting lots of applause, except Werewolf by Night podcast, and that's like crickets. And I was just like, fuck, just like my high school graduation ceremony all over again. So. Yeah, well, but no, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna be charming as fuck, and we're gonna win over that crowd, my friend.
I thought that was funny that the organizer mentioned that it's a lot of straight white cis men up on one stage.
That's right.
Good to call that out.
It is good to call that out, and I think that's It's very on brand with Books with Pictures. They're all about representation and moving the comic shop into the modern era. And so, I thought that was great. Yeah. So Katie's going to join us. Some other people are going to join us, and we'll make sure it's a little more of a diverse panel.
Yeah, I don't think that was cool that she put up that no BO sign on the door, though.
Yeah,
you can take the comic shop in the 21st century, but let's not undercut the base.
Yeah, well, that is the standard of all comic shops, right? But but no,
that's cool.
Very excited for that. Books with Pictures is the greatest.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that, but nervous. I'm nervous-sided, as My Little Ponies would say. Is this
the perfect time for us to do mushrooms? Is before the live event?
No, I need confidence. I'm going to smoke crystal meth out of a light bulb right before I come up on stage. I think tear my shirt off.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Do some hip thrusts.
Yeah. Yep, it's angel dust for me all the way. That'll be reading the crowd properly. Well, hopefully we'll get some big names in the crowd that might heckle us.
Yeah,
maybe Matt Fraction will throw a tomato at us, or just hurl insults.
Yeah,
I got some comebacks ready for that guy. I'm ready.
It better be an organic tomato.
Yeah,
I love that she got that award. The Eisner. I just hope that's not like the Portland curse, like Stanish's got the best cheeseburger in America, and they were out of business within a year.
No, Katie's kind of revolutionized what comic shops should be and what they should be to actually have the hobby and the medium survive, and that means they need to be places where people that aren't 40-something-year-old white dudes want to go into. And that's what they've done. They've created a shop that everyone wants to go to and that everyone loves and is accepted and is great. And the era of the comic book guy is over. And Books with Pictures put the final nail in that coffin.
God damn it. Okay.
It's a new world, my friend.
It's scary.
It's not. We have to embrace it.
All this wokesterism.
Got to step out of the way and embrace it. It's wonderful.
It's wonderful. Yes,
it's wonderful.
I'm excited to go to Floating World's new shop, which they moved into Lloyd Center.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't had a chance yet, but I don't get over there much because I'm out here in Clackamas. But if you folks want to support us, we do have some amazing folks who do support us at several levels. We'd like to give a shout out to our Pack Brothers and Pack Sisters who support us at the $5 a month level. At that level, they get there's some great wallpapers for your phone, for your desktop, and they get an audio version of the bonus show that we do every week. They also get a video version and exclusive stuff that no other level gets except for the venerated Star Gods, who are the people who opt to support us at the $10 level. They are amazing. That's folks like Michael G.,
Josh Link,
Jackson T. Overstreet,
and Ryan from Across the Bifrost.
You are mighty barbarian deities, and we are not worthy of your love. Thank you for shining your light on us. The Pack Brothers and Pack Sisters are also very appreciated folks. Thank you all for your support. You make the show awesome. So what's up on the bonus show this week, Jacob? What are the people who are not Patreon supporters, what are they missing?
Well, they're going to be missing a lot, my friend. They are going to be missing us talking about the 1965 Mexican werewolf film La Loba, which is, it was pretty great and is one of the rare times where we get a female werewolf. So.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And so this is something that I found on a Psychotronic torrent site that just shares unusual films. And someone had done a fan dub of it. So it had never been released in English, dubbed or subtitled. So someone who was bilingual or whatever did a subtitle file. And so I grabbed that. I threw it up on YouTube. The bots didn't find any copyright infringement with that. So I just turned it to public. And you can find that on Patreon. We link to that there. Anybody can. You don't have to be a Patreon supporter. And I even did some localization and some retranslation. There was, I threw the file through some AI and voice to text stuff. And there were a couple of sections where it said like translation missing. And I found them. I grabbed them with the help of a robot and translated them into Spanish. I smoothed out some of the literal translation and made it more localized and a little more natural to English. And it's up there. You can check it out. And it's an hour and 18 minutes, I think, and well worth your time. I'm not spoiling anything, but
no, it's definitely worth your time. And I saw the views. People have been watching that.
Yeah, it's cool. People have been hopping on that. So I'm going to leave that up there.
A lot of people hopped on.
Yeah, and go ahead and give it a thumbs up and maybe leave a comment. I don't know. I think the more you do that, the more the algorithm grabs it and throws it to other people who watch psychotronic movies and strange werewolf movies and foreign films with subtitles. So do the like and the comment thing. That helps everybody find it. It's worth finding.
Honestly. I think so, for sure.
And I'm also going to be talking about, I think, the fourth part of The Urge to Scourge, which is where we're going through the 1980s Scourge vigilante appearances where he was cleaning house with low-level villains. Mm-hmm. He made an attempt last time on Kraven the Hunter and couldn't get a clean shot because of Tigra. He didn't want to hurt Tigra, but let's all be honest. Kraven was never going to be taken out of the mix.
Nope.
He's
too important.
He's too important of a character.
Yeah.
You can't kill a Ditko creation, first of all.
No.
So, and I thought we could just kind of chat about, life.
Yeah.
La vida.
Our friend Russ from Tomes of Evil, he sent me, we were messaging, and he sent me a digital collection of some Spectre comics from the 90s, a Vertigo run that I think went like 60 issues. And so, I'm going to talk about the first 12 of those.
Who's behind that?
John Ostrander.
Oh,
Suicide Squad guy.
Yeah.
And
I like him.
Yeah, it was cool. So I'm very excited to talk a little bit about that as well.
Who did art duties?
Someone Mandrake, I think.
I've heard the name.
I wasn't as familiar with him. But
I don't think I know. Is it like painterly kind of stuff, like a Vertigo, 90s Vertigo? Like
it's very 90s Vertigo. It's not Sandman painterly. I mean, but it's it's 90s art, but pretty good 90s art.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention, I forgot to do this after Ray's call. Russ and Justin from the Gamma Charge podcast and Ray have started a new podcast called Predator Prey podcast. And they're talking about all things Predator. On the first episode, they talked about the new movie Prey that is on Hulu. And they actually asked us to do a little reaction clip. So we sent that to them, and that's in there as well. But I watched the whole thing and I totally dug it. I'm not a huge Predator guy, like, not because I don't like it, just because I've never dove in, to that whole world. It sounds fascinating. And it sounds like I was saying on our reaction, like they have kind of jumped around through time and fleshed out the whole mythos and all that stuff. So I get geeked out on things like that, like anything that's rich, like Dune or whatever, I get excited about. So I might be reading some Predator comics, I guess.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. And I think when I was reading, some of the characters that are in the movie Prey are from the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe the translator of the fur, the guy that worked for the furriers, is from the comics. And apparently the pistol plays a big role in the comics too.
Yep. That's what I was reading as well. About
there's a continuity issue that created by Prey. So I love hiccups like that as well.
Yeah, I loved it. So yeah, everyone should check out that podcast for sure.
Cool. Thanks for listening this week, guys. Again, we always love a voicemail from you. If you want to call 971-220-5865, 971-220-JUNK. You can also find us on Instagram at Werewolf by Night Podcast, separated by underscores. And we're on Twitter at Werewolf Podcast. Jacob, any last words?
No, I'm good. I'm excited that we went through this issue, and I'm excited for the bonus show. Let's do it.
Me too. Have you heard from the person who left the review that we mentioned recently where they said we can be a little elitist?
No, and I was a little disappointed.
Kind of bummed.
So one last time, please, I want to send you some really awesome buttons.
This offer does not expire, but we're just
saying
not.
It one last time. Anytime.
It's an open-ended offer.
If you decide, if you don't want us to have your address, I totally understand. That's a totally understandable thing. But if you trust us, please send us your mailing address and we'll send you some buttons.
Can't we do like Dirty Harry and like be at this payphone at this time and leave it in a duffel bag in this garbage can?
Yeah, I would totally be into that because I loved the review, and everyone else that's left us a great review has gotten buttons. So why shouldn't you get some buttons? Come on.
And we are not saying that you're like the Zodiac Killer. That is
not at
the
all
thrust of that comment at all.
No.
That's clear, right?
I'm glad you clarified.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, folks, thanks for listening to us this week. We'll be back next week with Brad Elmore to talk about Ghost Rider 55, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, till we meet again with the full moon, furry ones, here's howling at ya.